Imagine for a moment living a life where external events no longer shake you, where even in the middle of storms, you preserve clarity, calm, and inner strength. This is not a fantasy, but a way of life taught by one of the most enduring schools of philosophy, Stoicism. Born in ancient Greece and embraced later in Rome, Stoicism has inspired emperors, slaves, generals, and ordinary men and women to face life with dignity, peace, and resilience. Its message echoes through the centuries. You cannot control the world, but you can always control yourself. Stoicism reminds us that serenity does not come from changing the universe to our liking, but from mastering our mind, our attitudes, and our actions. Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, and Epictetus, the great voices of Stoicism, offer lessons that, far from being obsolete, are urgently necessary in our turbulent modern world. Their wisdom speaks to us about how to face adversity, how to respond instead of reacting, how to live with virtue and simplicity, and how to discover the treasure of tranquility even in chaos. In this long journey, we will explore 10 timeless lessons from Stoicism, lessons that can transform the way we face existence. They are not abstract theories, but practical tools to walk with dignity, to maintain composure, and to cultivate peace in the midst of the inevitable trials of life. Lesson number 1. Embrace what you can control. Epictetus, once a slave who became one of the greatest philosophers, gave us one of the most powerful principles of Stoicism, the dichotomy of control. He taught that life is divided into 2 great fields, what depends on us and what does not. Our thoughts, our judgments, our actions, these are within our control. But the weather, the economy, the behavior of others, even our health, belong to the sphere of what we cannot govern. If we invest our energy in fighting against what is not ours to command, frustration and anguish will be inevitable. But if we turn inward and dedicate ourselves to cultivating our mind and our actions, then serenity becomes possible. Epictetus compared life to an archer who can control the aim, the posture, the release of the arrow, but not the wind nor the final impact. The wise man, then, finds peace in doing his best and accepts with equanimity whatever result may come. To embrace what we can control is to abandon illusions of omnipotence. It is to understand that our kingdom is the interior and that only there can we reign with absolute power. This does not mean resignation, but freedom. By letting go of what we cannot hold, we free ourselves from chains of anxiety and we concentrate our strength on what truly matters: our will, our character, and our virtue. Lesson number 2. The power of acceptance. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome and Stoic philosopher, faced wars, betrayals, plagues, and the enormous weight of empire. And yet, in his meditations, he constantly reminded himself, do not fight against what the universe has placed before you. Accept it, because it is part of the whole to which you also belong. For Marcus, resistance against the inevitable was a source of useless suffering. Acceptance in Stoic terms is not passive surrender. It is a profound alignment with reality. It is recognizing that life flows with triumphs and defeats, joys and sorrows, and that all are woven together in the great fabric of existence. Like a sailor who does not control the wind but adjusts his sails, the Stoic learns to navigate existence with wisdom. Marcus Aurelius saw in each event an expression of nature, and his task was to live in harmony with that natural order. To accept is to release the chains of attachment to specific outcomes and to walk with serenity through both calm and storm. Acceptance, then, is not weakness, but supreme strength, the strength of one who is no longer a prisoner of what he cannot change. If you find value in these timeless lessons of Stoicism, support this channel by subscribing. Every subscription helps us bring more wisdom from the past into your daily life. Lesson number 3. Practice mindfulness. Seneca, in his letters and essays, insisted that one of the great errors of human beings is living outside of time. constantly trapped in regrets of the past or anxieties of the future. Stoicism, however, urges us to inhabit the present with full awareness. To be alive is not to accumulate years, but to inhabit this instant with clarity. Mindfulness, understood in Stoic terms, is a discipline of attention. It is being aware of our thoughts, of our words, of the rhythm of our breath, and of the miracle of being here and now. When we practice it, we liberate ourselves from the torment of rumination, from that mental noise that chains us to things that no longer exist or that may never happen. Seneca reminded us that life is not short, but we make it so by wasting it on distractions. To practice Stoic mindfulness is to return to the essence, this moment, this breath, this action, done with integrity. In that simplicity, the noise dissipates and tranquility arises. Lesson number 4. Cultivate resilience. For Stoicism, adversity is not an enemy, but a teacher. Epictetus told his disciples that circumstances do not harm us. It is our judgment about them that wounds us. The storms of life are inevitable, but it is within our power to decide whether they will destroy us or strengthen us. Resilience, then, is the art of converting trials into opportunities for growth. Like fire that makes iron stronger, difficulties temper the soul of those who dare to face them. The Stoic does not flee from pain or failure, but embraces them as exercises for the soul. Epictetus reminded us, difficulties are what show the man. To cultivate resilience is to look at obstacles as raw material for virtue. Courage is born precisely in the presence of fear, just as strength is revealed only in the presence of pressure. The one who lives with Stoic resilience learns to remain upright, like the oak tree that withstands storms, unshaken, with roots deeply anchored in the earth of wisdom. Lesson number 5, choose your response. Epictetus insisted tirelessly, events are not what disturb us, but the opinions we form about them. Between what happens and what we feel, there is a space. In that space resides our freedom. The Stoics discovered that even when everything external seems out of control, there is always one realm where no one can dominate us: our response. Imagine insults, misfortune, or betrayal. The natural impulse may be anger, despair, or revenge. But the Stoic pauses, breathes, and remembers, no one can make me feel anything without my consent. In that instant, choice is born. Will I respond with anger or with calm? With bitterness or with wisdom? With hatred or with justice? This lesson is the true core of inner mastery. The external world may be chaos, but within me I can always choose reason over passion, virtue over vice. The Stoic understands that this choice is sacred. To respond wisely is to forge the character, to create a shield of serenity against the blows of fate. Thus, every challenge becomes an exercise of freedom. In the smallest gesture and in the greatest trial, man is sovereign when he governs his response. This is the true power of the human being, not to dominate the world, but to dominate himself. Lesson number 6. Limit excessive desires. Seneca, in his reflections, warned again and again of the dangers of ambition without limits. He saw in Roman society the anxiety of those who sought riches, honors, and pleasures, only to discover that the more they obtained, the more slaves they became of their desires. The Stoics understood that excessive desire is like an unquenchable fire. The more you feed it, the more it consumes you. And the tragedy is that it never ends. Today, wealth, tomorrow, glory, then pleasures, and at the end, emptiness. The lesson of moderation is therefore fundamental. True peace comes not from having more, but from desiring less. The wise man is not the one who accumulates treasures, but the one who knows how to live with little and still consider himself rich. Seneca said, "He is poor, not who has little, but who desires more." To limit desires is to silence the inner storm, to live with gratitude for what we already have, and to recognize that external abundance is fragile and fleeting, While inner contentment is indestructible, this lesson is an antidote to modern anxiety. In a world of consumerism and constant comparison, Stoicism reminds us that serenity lies in the simplicity of a heart that is no longer enslaved by the endless chase of desire. Lesson number 7. Be virtuous. For the Stoics, virtue is not one more value among others. It is the very essence of a good life. Wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. These are the 4 cardinal virtues that guide every action, every decision, every judgment. Wisdom allows us to see things as they are, without the distortions of passion or ignorance. It is the lamp that illuminates the path. Courage gives us the strength to face fear, pain, and adversity without retreat. Justice orders our relationships, teaching us to live with fairness, integrity, and respect for others. And temperance reminds us that without self-control, we become slaves of our impulses. Epictetus, Seneca, and Marcus Aurelius all insisted on the same point. External fortune does not define a man. His possessions, his titles, his achievements, they are dust and shadow. What defines him is the quality of his soul, the alignment of his actions with virtue. To be virtuous, then, is to be free. For he who governs himself with wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance becomes untouchable. Misfortune cannot corrupt him, nor wealth intoxicate him, nor power pervert him. His strength lies not in circumstance, but in character. The Stoics taught that virtue is sufficient for happiness. Everything else is secondary. Health, wealth, friendship, even life itself are preferable goods but not essential. If virtue is intact, nothing is truly lost. To cultivate virtue is to forge an unshakable fortress where calm and peace dwell permanently. Give this video a like and share it with someone who needs calm and clarity in their journey. Together, we can spread Stoic wisdom to a world in need of peace. Lesson number 8. Understand the transitory nature of life. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, returned again and again to a single truth: everything is fleeting. The glory of generals, the applause of the crowd, the beauty of youth, even the life of emperors, everything dissolves in the river of time. To forget this is to live in illusion. To remember it is to live with wisdom. For the Stoic, the transitory nature of life is not a reason for despair, but for liberation. When we recognize that all things are temporary, we stop clinging to them desperately. We enjoy them while they are here, and we let them go with serenity when their time has passed. This vision transforms existence. Death ceases to be an enemy, because it is only part of nature's rhythm. Loss ceases to be unbearable, because everything we have was always a gift, never a possession. Even suffering becomes more bearable, because we know it too will pass. Marcus Aurelius compared human life to a play. Some actors remain longer on stage. Others only appear for a moment, but all fulfill their role. The wise man accepts his role without complaint and withdraws when the curtain falls, grateful for the opportunity to have participated. To understand transience is to awaken. It is to realize that the present moment is infinitely precious, because it will never return. It is to live without wasting time on trivialities, knowing that every hour is a treasure. It is to embrace life without illusions of permanence and to walk with serenity, like one who knows that the flow of the river cannot be stopped, but can be enjoyed while it runs. The Stoic who contemplates impermanence does not cling, does not despair, does not waste his days. Instead, he lives fully in the now, with gratitude and with calm, because he knows that nothing belongs to us, not even tomorrow. Lesson number 9. The value of gratitude. Seneca wrote that the greatest blessings of life often go unnoticed, because we are too busy longing for what we lack. But the Stoic practices the art of gratitude, the deliberate act of turning his gaze to what he already has and recognizing its value. Gratitude, for Stoicism, is not superficial optimism. It is a profound philosophical exercise that transforms the soul. It means understanding that every moment, every breath, every sunrise, and every encounter is a gift of existence. To be grateful is to awaken to the abundance that already surrounds us. Even in adversity, Seneca urged us to thank not only the favorable circumstances, but also the trials, because they are the teachers that strengthen our character. Gratitude, then, is not passive. It is active recognition that life, with its lights and shadows, gives us everything we need to grow. The Stoic who cultivates gratitude does not waste time comparing himself to others, nor does he live in constant dissatisfaction. He looks at what he has, however small, and says, "This is enough." In this act, serenity is born. Gratitude also expands justice and compassion. He who is grateful for what he has finds it easier to share with others, to treat them with fairness, and to recognize the common humanity that unites us. Gratitude dismantles arrogance and envy, replacing them with humility and fraternity. To practice gratitude daily is to recalibrate the heart. It is to stop feeding the insatiable monster of desire and to discover the inexhaustible well of joy in what is already present. The Stoics remind us that the man who is grateful is truly rich, regardless of his possessions. Gratitude is the key that opens the door to calm, because it shifts the gaze from absence to presence, from lack to abundance, from anxiety to serenity. Leave us a comment. Which of these Stoic lessons resonates with you the most? Your reflections are part of this community of seekers of wisdom. Lesson number 10, keep learning and growing. Epictetus reminded his students that no man should ever consider himself complete. Life is not a finished statue, but a constant work in progress. The Stoic knows that every day offers an opportunity to refine his character, sharpen his reason, and deepen his understanding of the world. To keep learning and growing is to embrace the truth that wisdom is infinite, and that we are always apprentices. Even emperors like Marcus Aurelius wrote notes to themselves, correcting their faults and reminding themselves of what they had not yet mastered. Even Seneca, with all his brilliance, confessed his imperfections and urged his friends to grow alongside him. This lesson protects us from arrogance and stagnation. It reminds us that virtue is not an end we arrive at once, but a journey we undertake daily. The Stoic seeks progress, not perfection. Each mistake becomes a lesson, each obstacle a teacher, each experience an opportunity to expand the soul. Continuous growth is also an act of humility. It is recognizing that we are fragile beings, limited and fallible, but also capable of transformation. To grow is to honor life itself, because existence is movement, and to resist growth is to resist nature. Epictetus compared learning to sharpening a sword. If we neglect it, it rusts. If we maintain it, it becomes ever more useful. Likewise, our mind and our spirit must be honed daily with study, reflection, and practice. Growth is not optional. It is the very condition of a life lived with meaning. Conclusion: living stoically today. These 10 lessons: embracing what we can control, practicing acceptance, cultivating mindfulness, building resilience, choosing our response, limiting desires, living with virtue, recognizing transience, practicing gratitude, and committing to constant growth form the backbone of Stoicism. They are not abstract ideas buried in ancient texts, but tools for daily living. The storms of life will never cease. There will always be misfortunes, injustices, losses, and fears. But the Stoics discovered that peace is not found in changing the world, but in transforming our way of inhabiting it. True strength does not consist in avoiding pain, but in facing it with dignity. True freedom is not the absence of constraints, but the mastery of oneself. To live stoically is to live with courage in the face of adversity, with justice in dealing with others, with temperance in the face of desire, and with wisdom in decision-making. It is to find serenity, not because the world is calm, but because the heart has learned to be. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. That is the essence of Stoicism, the discovery that within us resides an invincible citadel, a refuge no one can conquer, a fortress of peace and virtue that remains unshaken even when the universe trembles. And so, the invitation is clear. Embrace these 10 lessons not as theory, but as practice. Let Stoicism be your compass in the uncertainty of modern times, your anchor in the storms of existence, and your guide toward a life of meaning, serenity, and inner strength.